In 3 weeks, the delegate from Washington County and I share a birthday, March 5th. I'll turn 58, and I know I look a lot younger than him. I think he's probably 25 or so. But when I was born on March 5th, 1965, my parents, dad was a veteran, put his life on the line for this country. Mom was aspiring, trying to work at a high school, doing clerical work. And at that time, they did not have the right to vote, protected, in 1965 at that point. Nor did they know if their children were ever going to have the right to exercise the franchise. 2 days after I was born, on Sunday, March 7th, 1965, a then 25-year-old freedom rider that you all may have heard, named John Lewis, may have heard of, led hundreds of activists in a march across the Edmund Pettus Bridge in Selma, Alabama. Congressman Lewis and over 600 others participating in this peaceful protest were met with violent and brutal attacks led by state troopers, leaving a stain on this country that we now call Bloody Sunday. 6 months later, on August 6th, President Johnson signed the Voting Rights Act of 1965. It was a bipartisan piece of legislation looking forward. You'd be surprised to know in this day and age of partisan fights, legislation passed the House 333 to 85, with 112 Republicans supporting it. And the Senate, it passed 77 to 19, with 30 Republicans supporting. It was clear at that time that the country had to move forward in a bipartisan way to solve this problem. And they did. And just think about it, that was in 1965. The stains on our country that are sometimes rooted in racism and hatred, they're abundant. However, in spite of these horrific tragedies, black men and women, like myself and others, like some of our delegates here, have always put on the uniform, have always chose to raise our right hands, not in an act of valiance, not in an act of heroism, but in an act of faith, in an act of faith that we believe in this American dream. And we're willing to put our lives on the line to prove it. Oftentimes for folks who would not even do half as much for us. As I talked about, it's my birthday coming up, and so every day is a blessing. And every birthday, I think, is worth a celebration. But for me and black people in this country, getting older is sometimes not a right, but a privilege. Last August, the CDC reported that there is a 6-year difference in life expectancy between black and white folks in America. 14 more birthdays, and I will literally beat the odds. I will outlive the life expectancy for the average black man today. And I can't help but think that it's because folks like Emmett Till, Trayvon Martin, Breonna Taylor, now Tyree Nichols, I think about those people who never had the chance to see their 20th birthday. I'm only one generation removed from segregation and 4 generations from enslavement. I want you to think about this. Yesterday, February 8th, which is also my father's birthday, he would have been 90, he's deceased. But that was the day that the Confederate States of America was founded, in 1861. So when we're talking about making America great again, Mr. Speaker, what time in that history do you want black people to go back to? Are we going back 80 years during World War II, where 1.2 million black veterans like my grandfather were shut out of receiving VA loans and GI bills, exacerbating the wealth gap? Are we going to go back 60 years? Either way, it's clear, and I think it's as clear as it was to those folks who supported the Voting Rights Act of 1965, that our progress will be in the future. Our progress will be bipartisan, and it must be in the future. And the only way to move forward is to learn from the past. But some don't want us to learn from the past. They want to make some folks invisible, some folks' history invisible. I want to take MLK out of textbooks. Some folks want to focus on talking about divisive issues like critical race theory. We have to talk about these issues in a bipartisan and honest way if we're ever going to move forward. Because I've learned that the enemy of progress is not perfection, but it's ignorance. And if we truly want America and the Commonwealth of Virginia to be great, we need to learn from the mistakes and not run from them. Happy Black History Month, Mr. Speaker.